I don't want great fun ideas. I just want my basic Pokemon Blue with my nice graphics.
Meet the team at Soundbooth Theater.
This is Emily Labus, the director of marketing and communications at Soundbooth Theater, as well as the reluctant host of our new segment, Meet the Team. And here with me today is the incomparable Justin Thomas James.
Hello.
Yay!
Oh, my hand looks so big. It's not that.
He is, well, he is our one of our most prolific narrators. He is a composer for us. He's done music for us, and he's also our chief operating officer. So, Justin, can you tell me your SBT origin story, like how you came to work here?
You know, it's funny. I really enjoy telling this story because it is such a small world type story that even like with all of like the internet and Twitter and how big, like there's millions of people on the internet, billions even, the connections just kind of happen through Twitter of all places. Probably a lot of great stories started out on Twitter, but mine did. I think it was like 2015 or so. I was experimenting with becoming a narrator and just recording myself doing like short stories, and then reaching out to some authors that I liked and recording their stuff. And I would post my stuff on YouTube. I was getting into Twitter and starting to post stuff there and doing the game of like following a lot of people and then hoping they follow me back and then unfollowing the people that don't follow me, blah, blah, blah. It just so happened that I followed one person named Jeff Hayes, and he's the narrator. And just like, I saw that he was doing it. He was doing like voiceover work and stuff and narrating audiobooks. So I just happened to reach out and was like, hey, like, you're a narrator, you're doing what I want to do, like, blah, blah, blah. And we talked for a while, and he actually saw one of my videos and he was like, hey, this is actually pretty good. Like, you've got something here. So that was cool. And a few months later, he actually reached out to me and was like, hey, I've got a audiobook project that honestly I just don't have time to do, but I think you'd be a great fit for it. Are you interested in working with this author? And so I took it on, yada, yada, yada. And this is not the rest is history point yet. I did the project. It worked out fine. And Jeff kind of faded into obscurity, and I faded into obscurity from his perspective.
Sure.
And,
as you guys tend to do.
Yeah, exactly. Twitter friends, right? Like, about a year later, I got my first ACX Audible came to Canada. I got my very first audiobook project that happened to be a lit RPG called Afterlife Online by Domino Finn. Book one was called Reboot. And so I auditioned for it. It was like my fourth audition or whatever. And the author liked me. And I went with it. Quick note, I say that it was my fourth audition, and I got to a point where I was like, oh, like, I'm so good that I'll just like, get a book every 4 auditions or so. And it was a fluke. It was just a total fluke. I got, a good audition in for a book that I was well suited for. And then after that point, I couldn't get any work. So I narrated Afterlife Online. It was great, released on Audible, good stuff. And it was in that period of not finding any work that I was like, hey, maybe I could actually, be proactive and start reaching out to authors who are posting on Amazon. Self-publishing rather. So I went on Amazon and I looked for authors, and I found a bunch of them. Edward Castle. I was like, oh, great. Okay. Let's see if their book has been narrated. And of course, it has, by a narrator named Jeff Hayes. Okay, let's
that guy
look at something. Well, I didn't realize that yet. I was just like, maybe something was like maybe at the back of my brain. I went through like 4 or 5 different titles, and every single one of them was Jeff Hayes, Jeff Hayes, Jeff Hayes, Jeff Hayes, Jeff Hayes. And I was like, who is this guy? And I was like, wait a second. That was when I had that moment of like, I recognize that name. And sure enough, I go on Twitter, I find the old conversation, and he's there. So I reach out again. And I'm like, hey, I did Afterlife Online. Like, how are you doing? Like, I've come a long way, blah, blah, blah. And he was like, oh shit, you got Afterlife Online? I auditioned for that shit. And that's my favorite part of the story. Anyways, now this is the point where I say the rest is history. We started talking. He was starting Soundbooth at the time, and he's like, I've got this project that I'm working on. And you know how all of that went. So
Oh yeah.
that's how I started with Soundbooth Theater, was meeting Jeff on Twitter.
I love it. Yeah, and you were like, gosh, like the between the third and fifth person in, weren't you? Because I think I was like seven or eight, maybe
So
even earlier. Yeah.
when I was there, when I got in, it was Jeff, it was
Yep.
Sin, and it was Griffin. That
I think
was,
Annie too,
oh
right?
yes, and of
Or
course Annie.
yeah,
Annie
yeah.
was there. Lori was
Right.
already there as well. So I think I was about fifth,
Yeah.
maybe.
Yeah,
Um,
you were fifth because I was not that far behind you,
yeah,
which is
yeah, you
crazy
came in
to
quickly.
think
You were
how
referred
long
by
it's
Griffin,
been.
right?
Yeah. Yeah, that's
Yeah.
true. Yeah. Um, anyway, so been a long time at this point. What is your favorite sound booth theater project that you worked on so far and why?
The projects that I end up doing the extra work on, particularly
Hmm.
involving music,
Hmm.
those tend to be the projects that hold the most special part within me, because I'm using multiple sort of
Right.
skill sets, and it's a lot more work, and it's a lot more time, and it's a lot more arduous, and definitely more stress on release day. Are people going to like the music with the audiobook? But the Wayward Bard, or World of Chains by Lars M, sorry, World Tree Online by EA Hooper, that I did some extra music for, and I did love that series. It has completed since, it's a trilogy. And then Archemi Online, by James Osiris Baldwin. You guys have heard me talk about Archemi Online and how much I love working on that. So those ones are definitely up there that I can think of in this moment. There's
Hmm.
probably some other big one that's like,
Oh yeah.
what?
So
Like, but in this moment, that's what is coming to mind.
obviously, as we stated at the top of the interview, you're our COO. You're one of our most prolific narrators and composers and musicians. So, like, you really do so much on both the business side and the production side. How do you strike a balance there?
Everything just takes time, and I take my time. Composing music, it can be a very slow and arduous process, and sometimes it's just, it's quick. Where I excel in, like, the number of different sort of uh, skills or projects that I'm pursuing, that comes at a cost, and that cost is time, I would say. What I've learned over the past 5 or 6 years, or however long I've been doing this, is that if I dive too deeply into something, whether that's one single project where I'm just like completely obsessed with
Hmm.
composing for a week, and I'm not, sleeping right, and I'm not eating right, or I'm doing like 20 different projects and taking on way
Hmm.
more than I should be. If I'm trying to crunch that all in a certain amount of time, everything is going to either suffer, or I'm going to burn out, and I'm not going to be able to
Yeah.
do it. So what I'm learning for balance is just saying, okay, it's not getting done today. I thought it was going to get done today, but it's not. And being okay with that, you know.
Hmm.
At the end of the day, the story is going to get told. We're going to put it out there, and the post is going to get, put on Facebook, or the music's going to get written, or it's not going to get written. It's not the end of the world if it
Hmm.
doesn't make it into the audiobook. So just being easy, learning how to be easy, have an easy attitude
Mm,
around releases and all of the different projects, and being
cool.
okay that it takes longer.
All right. So this is like a bit of a fun one, kind of different. If you had a completely different career, like nothing to do with narration, running an audiobook production company, music, completely different, what would it be and why?
That's a good question. I like that question. It would be something with animals. I think I
Oh.
would, be just surrounded by puppies all the time, or baby elephants, or baby cheetahs, or, you know, maybe just watching them from afar, but getting to watch them. My partner and I just watched the Chimp Empire. Have you heard of that?
No.
It's a new incredible chimpanzee documentary on Netflix, and my god, the footage that they got and the story that they tell of the interactions between the chimps, it's truly epic and amazing. I've never seen anything like
Mhm.
it. So yeah, maybe I would pull like a Jane Goodall and just surround myself with chimps, and focus on their well-being. But I find naturally I have a strong affinity for animals. I could totally see myself studying how they interact and everything about them. Like God, you got to watch this documentary, Chimp Empire. It's
I will. I will.
so the baby chimpanzees, they're so freaking adorable and so much personality and no, it's just great.
Okay. So, how does the process of making music uh differ from the process of making like an audiobook or cinematic audio?
I'll compare it to narration, and definitely there's aspects of cinematic audio that do kind of have the same vibe, but yeah, the narration versus composing. So it depends on what kind of composing I'm doing. Usually a lot of my composing, 90% of my composing is iterative, in the sense that I
Hmm.
am pulling, I don't know if that's the right word actually, but I'm pulling the music inspiration from the text that I'm working on. So Archemi, World Tree, not necessarily in the case of World of Chains, for some smaller scenes, but usually there's like an actual song that he's basing that on, a classical piece. So I'm pulling it from the text, and then I'm having that fuel what goes into my music. And in that way, it's very similar to narration, because narration, I'm not coming up with the story. The story is there for me, and I am extracting something from it and then putting everything that I extract from the big, just the words to the small like details and nuances and enunciation, that I'm putting that into my voice. So they are similar in that way, but how they differ is that with narration, you do it once and you're happy with it, or you're not happy with it and you do it again, and you keep on tweaking it until you're happy with that performance of that line or that sentence or that line of dialogue or whatever, and then you move on. And it's just one kind of stream, it's one instrument. Whereas music, you can write something for the scene and then listen and be like, okay, no, it needs more boo, it needs more bass, it needs more percussion, it needs a little bit more anticipation, it needs this emotion, it needs that emotion. And you can start with something basic for music, and then you can add on to it, and then you can pull things away and think of like, okay, maybe I'm going to have for this section the main theme, but I'm going to do it in a French horn instead of a violin, or whatever. There's so much more attention to detail on one moment. You can go so much deeper with music than you can with your voice, because again, our voice is just one instrument, and we can get an incredible amount of range and depth from our voice. Solo violin, solo cello, like you can do incredible things, but you can't layer it. Like I can't do a layered voice
Hmm.
right now if I wanted to, but I'll try because I'm a voice actor. No, it's not working. It's very hard, very very hard.
Valiant effort.
Yeah, yeah. So that would be the main difference, is the ability to really dig into the emotion using multiple instruments as opposed to
Hmm.
just one.
So, switching gears entirely, what is the nerdiest thing about you?
It's related to either Pokemon or Final Fantasy. I love Pokemon
I
dearly.
don't think I knew that.
Oh my
I don't think I
god.
knew that. I
I
knew
I
about Final Fantasy. We've talked about Final Fantasy at length,
yeah.
but I didn't know about Pokemon.
Yeah, I mean I would have to say Final Fantasy. I'd have to say the nerdiest thing about me is Final Fantasy, in the sense that I just like I love it with such an undying passion. And I did like school
Yeah.
projects where like everything was inspired by Final Fantasy, and my teachers were like, what the heck is this? Who are these characters? What? Why? But I just, I loved it so much that I had to incorporate it into every aspect of my life. I still do that. I compose
Yeah.
Final Fantasy themed style music. I've never been to Japan, so it's not like I'm inspired by Japanese music. I've got such a Japanese influence on my sound.
Hmm. Hmm.
I've never been to Japan. It's because of Final Fantasy. It's also because of Pokemon, but I would say Final Fantasy wins, being my nerdiest thing, because Pokemon, I've been wanting them being, I guess, Game Freak, to release a Pokemon game that is for adults. Just like not just like they keep on reinventing it for kids,
Yeah.
and that's great. And like so many new generations are keeping it alive. But I want a Skyrim Pokemon, man. Like I want a Pokemon that best graphics on the market,
Yeah.
like super high fidelity. Like they keep on coming out with these new games that like they've got open world now, and that's cool. That was a big thing. But all of their new open world games, like they're just they look like kids things. Like I'm not a child
Mm.
anymore, even though I am deep down 5. I'm a
Right.
I'm a sophisticated 5-year old when it comes to my Pokemon taste.
But like, I guess this is gonna, I'm sure you're gonna say this doesn't count because it's mobile, but like, I mean, here at least they were doing Pokemon Go bar crawls.
I mean, that's cool. That's cool. And I did play a little bit of Pokemon Go, and I do like the aspect of needing to travel to different continents to pick up
Yeah,
different unique Pokemon. That's definitely it. That's not what I want though. That's not what I'm going to sit down and
sure.
that's totally left field.
Yeah,
Left field. And
yeah.
it's great. It's a fun idea, and they keep on having all these great fun ideas. I don't want great fun ideas. I just want my basic Pokemon Blue with my with my nice graphics that I can sit and play and forget about the entire world for like 40 hours as I just lose myself in this game on my computer by myself. That's the thing with Pokemon Go, is that it makes you see the world
Yeah.
as a deep down introvert. I like being by myself playing my video games. So
I
maybe
get that.
actually I am most nerdy about Pokemon, because I didn't realize I would get that passionate about the fact
Yeah.
that they haven't made like a darker, grittier, good graphic Pokemon game. Yeah, maybe that's your answer. You tell me. You
I
decide. You, the viewer, you decide. Am I nerdier because of my Pokemon love or my Final Fantasy love? What what do you say?
feel free to let us know at info@soundbooththeater.com. So back into narration, what would be your dream narrating or voice acting project and why?
I think that my dream narrating or voice acting project would be on a well, probably voice acting would be on a video game, but
Hmm.
I want to create either video game cinematic audio. It's very different. My answer for like a dream narration,
Hmm.
might be something like, Brandon Sanderson, or narrating like a Stephen King or something like that. That would be amazing.
Hmm.
But for like, if we were to do a cinematic audio, I think the dream thing is collaborating with a lot of cool, great people, whether that's
Yeah.
musicians, artists, other voice actors, developers, like that collaborative aspect where everybody's kind of sharing a different piece of the pie. Oh God, I mean, I guess I would love to voice a character on Final Fantasy, like one of the Final Fantasy games,
Yeah. Okay.
because they're doing it right. They're doing it right. Okay, they did the Final Fantasy 7 remake, and they like got the graphics there, but they kept it connected to the story. They did it right. So voice acting on that would be amazing. um but I think that that's something that maybe is a bit more within reach, is maybe creating content that is like, if they've got Final Fantasy, if they ever come up with like a Final Fantasy
Mhm.
novel or something like that, like
Ooh.
to do a cinematic audio of that with all the music, all the sound effects, like to really dig into something that has all of those layers, because me, I love all of that
Yeah.
stuff. I love the
Hmm.
multimedia all coming together. That I think would be where I'd love to put my creative energy.
Okay. Another random one. If your cat, Piper, had an inner monologue, what would it sound like?
I mean, well, externally, her external monologue mostly sounds like this. At least lately. I don't know what's been up with her. She's
Sure.
been really kind of, she's had that she just finds that frequency, you know? Um
Sure.
but I guess her inner monologue would be, You're doing it wrong. You're doing it wrong. Why aren't we sleeping? Why aren't we cuddling right now? I don't want to cuddle. I don't want to cuddle. I want a treat. I don't want a treat. What are you doing? I guess I'll eat a treat. I want to cuddle. I don't want to cuddle. What are you doing? I'm meowing. Look at this toy. I want a treat. I don't want a treat. I want food. I don't want food. I want water. I want to drink the bathtub water. You having a shower? Are 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 you having a shower? Why aren't we cuddling right now? Something like that.
Sounds really judgmental.
I think that most cats, well, I don't know. I can't say that. I take it back. Most cats. If you're a cat and you're listening to this, please don't take offense. But well, Piper is particularly judgmental. You can hear it.
Sure.
You can hear the judgment in her. Sure. Sometimes it's long. It's just like you feel like I cannot help but just question everything about myself. Being like, am I a good person? Even like it's just when she's meowing at me like that. Like what? Well, I'm doing something wrong. Clearly, I'm doing something wrong. But I don't. You know, she's a special one.
Aw. And it seems like having a cat has just done wonders for your self-esteem.
I think it keeps me humble. I'll put it that way.
That's a good way.
Every time I think that I'm so great, Piper will let me know that I'm just here to serve. That's all I exist for.
Well, we think you're great. So great, in fact, that we're curious if you could talk to 5 years ago, Justin, as he was just starting his narration career. What is the one the biggest piece of advice you would give him?
Just slow down. Take your time. This is a callback. This is a callback answer. Because this isn't something that whole idea of like taking my time, that isn't something that I started in this industry with. It was go, 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 go. I have to narrate everything. And I have to compose the music for it. And I have to proof it. And I have to polish it myself. And I have to learn this. I have to learn that. And I have to do this. I have to fix this. I have to fix. Are you having a shower? Are you having a shower? Are you having a shower? I just, I like 5 years ago, me did great. He did great. And maybe I wouldn't be where I am if I didn't have the hustle that 5 years ago Justin had. So I'm grateful. But I think that my advice would be more just for his mental health. Just, you'll be all right. Just take your time and you'll get there.
All right. This is the last question and my personal favorite question.
Oh my goodness.
If you were, if you were a short person for one whole day, what would you do that day?
I would take transit because it's designed for short people, especially school buses. And I would just, I would kind of wistfully look around, reminiscing about the times on the school bus, a flashback, maybe a trauma response or a trauma vision of myself sitting on the chair with my knees up to my chin, because I just could not sit there. I couldn't. If there was someone sitting next to me, I had to put my knees up. Here, I'll show you. Like this. This is how I sat on an elementary school bus. Like this every time. And then the person in front of me would get annoyed because my knees were digging into their back. And I was like, I'm sorry, I can't do anything. And so I would stand there and a tear slowly rolling down my cheek. And I would gather some strength and I would feel what it's like to be a small person in a world that is designed just for me. The end. That would be the whole day. That would be the day. Just me sitting in a school bus alone on an elementary school. You just see me looking out the window, just like smiling. It's an abandoned school bus. There's
there's so many things you could do. That you could like enter a limbo contest. No, just
I'm pretty
bus.
good at limbo. I'm good at limbo because people underestimate me. I get the
I've actually never
cheers.
seen you limbo. I believe it.
I got some. I don't know if I got some Jamaican blood or something, but I can get low, and my knees bend in weird ways because I grew up having to bend my knees in weird ways.
Oh, there you go. It all comes back to that school bus. Awesome. Well, Justin, my friend, thank you so much for your time. This has been so much fun. Great interview. 10s all around.
Yeah, thank you, Emily. This was a lot of fun.
Oh, good. All right. Well, until the next time.